I don't think Apple TV Plus really wants to like show a movie with like shitty sound when they haven't released that many movies yet so far. So
right.
Methought I heard a voice cry, sleep no more.
Drive-by movies, you're watching
fresh releases.
My name's Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week we're talking the brand new film to Apple TV Plus, The Tragedy of Macbeth.
I have no words. My voice is in my sword.
The Tragedy of Macbeth is the new film brought to us from A24. It's about a Scottish lord who becomes convinced by a trio of witches that he will become the next king of Scotland, and his ambitious wife supports him in his plans of seizing power. So this is the glorious return of Joel Coen, I believe. Yes, Joel Coen. Not Ethan Coen though, or Eaton Coen. Not that Coen brother or that other weird Coen cousin. I got a similar name. No, it's not a Coen Brothers release. It's just Joel Coen. I think I've said it so many times on countless shows that I'm not the biggest fan of the Coen Brothers. Every once in a while I'll see like something I kind of enjoy. This is something that I kind of enjoyed, but it's also really weird. But there's still a lot to talk about though too. What are your initial thoughts on it?
So I'm not gonna like outright say that I enjoyed the movie. I think because it felt like a homework assignment in that sense. Like I don't particularly enjoy Shakespeare. I don't think that's a wildly outlandish thing to say at this point in time. I think there's a lot to like about this movie, and I think I enjoyed all of the production aspects and that. But when it comes to like the actual story, I just feel like in general, I mean, this film says the tragedy, but I think we've had this conversation in multiple like forms, in multiple mediums. I think we've had the conversation that like I don't feel like tragedies play that well anymore. I feel like we're almost beyond that in like when it comes to storytelling. I mean, at this point, I'm not saying everything has to be all happy-go-lucky, but I mean, if you look at general pop culture, all the films have to be happy-go-lucky, which I personally don't like. I just feel like a solid only tragedy doesn't really always play the best. And this is one of the oldest tragedies, of course, the Tragedy of Macbeth. So, I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part on all the technical aspects. I think story-wise, language-wise, obviously you're gonna lose me a little bit there, but I think it's fine. It's gonna be at the Academy Awards, so this won't be the last time we see this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's mainly with it too. Like, there's not really anything to criticize necessarily, except for the man Shakespeare himself. It's whether or not you like Shakespeare or not. And no, I don't really care for Shakespeare. I mean, I understand why we studied it in high school. I understand why it's beloved by actors. Like, there's a lot of great like roles and like with the acting performances within this movie. I think that's why everyone signed up for this movie, especially when Coen Brothers are announced for it. What makes it different though, and pretty cool, I guess, is the technical aspects. I love that it feels like a 30s movie with it being shot on sound stages. That's cool, but also at times though, it just felt like I was just filming or it felt like I was just watching something that was just shot in like an empty warehouse, because there's not really a whole lot of scenery. So a missed opportunity to have some good cinematography. That's one thing that I normally do like about the Coen Brothers. They have some great cinematography in their movies. I mean, one of the ones that I ended up loving was No Country for Old Men when we checked it out. But with this one, I mean, of course, this is definitely supposed to be more of an intimate story, but it's just crazy, like, because it's kind of grand in scale with, like, battles, like, the talks of, like, wars being won and, like, all these betrayal of, like, trying to become king and everything, and just, like, all the, like, the, like, crazy, like, in his head moments that, like, Denzel Washington's going through. Like, you could have went grand with it, but I like that they decided to go low-key with it. But it just also feels very A24 for that reason too.
Yeah, it's interesting because it does feel like an experimental. Have you ever seen like an experimental like black box theater, essentially? Have you ever experienced one of those plays?
No, but I mean, It's not my alley.
It's kind of, well, basically it's as it sounds. Essentially, it's literally a black box room, and the most of it is up for your imagination. Like a lot of things are like there aren't really walls. Like there'll be like kind of some like maybe half walls or like certain objects, but for the most part, it's usually like one solid location for like a play, or if they do different lighting setups and whatnot. And this very much felt like that because, like you said, there's really like it's very minimalistic, which is really cool on a technical level. But then at the same time, like you can even look at all of it. Like if you just Google image search this movie, like pretty much 90%, like when I was making the thumbnail for this, like 90% of the images are going to be like the same couple images, and everything just kind of looks very samey, where I feel like the movie didn't always feel like that. There was interesting like set pieces, but then the majority of it did feel like samey to the extent that like the people who were trying to promote this movie, whether it's Apple or part of the production, like didn't even know necessarily how to promote it in a way. So they just kept like plastering Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand over everything, which didn't necessarily like, I love Denzel Washington, but it didn't necessarily make me want to be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, let's see the Tragedy of Macbeth, you know?
So I'm curious how to see like how it's kind of presented in that way. Of course, with it going to direct to streaming, like, you know, there's not really the effort of like seeing it in theater, but this is something that like I actually like would imagine, like if you're seeing a stage play, they just filmed a stage play. This is the closest I think that we've ever gotten to it. But just the idea though of 4:3 black and white, though I've been seeing so many movies like this recently. We saw with The Lighthouse and Zack Snyder's Justice League and the directorial integrity that he wanted at HBO Max with that and stuff. So it's just like feels gimmicky now though, seeing these 4:3 movies, but it works in its favor for this one though, with the fact that they're going for the very minimalist scenic shots in this.
Dude, it really did feel like like the Seventh Seal. Honestly, watching this, like even when I started, I'm like, oh shit, this looks just like the Seventh Seal. This is like such a looks like an old school classic movie. They really capture that vibe, which is really cool. But I think honestly, one of the people that really prospered the most off this movie is high school theater classes, because like they at least, if they had to watch Macbeth, they don't have to watch like another version. They get like a brand new fresh version of it from Apple TV. So I have to say, like, I think if that was it, like that's a good demographic to have. They're probably stoked. I remember when I was in high school, like we had to watch, like our teacher would give us extra credit if we watch movies that pertain to history. So like for some reason, I feel like a lot of historical movies came out at that time, whether they were faithful to the actual history or not. That's, you know, probably not the case. But we watched like Flyboys, which I was like, oh, this is like a sick action movie. Or maybe was it Flyboys or Red Tails? One of those movies. Maybe we watched both. Yeah. But then we also watched I think Bobby Kennedy, the movie. Yeah. It was like there's so many like history movies coming out at that time. So I feel like that like the same would have happened with this, where like kids were they weren't like stoked, but I would be more stoked to watch like Denzel as Macbeth as opposed to like, you know, a previous version of this, or even like a film stage play, because this kind of totally captures the vibe and everything.
Right. Yeah, because I would imagine it's like we got like a 90s or 70s version. I feel like we would have got the actor who played Hercules on the
Kevin
CW
Sorbo.
Or whatever.
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, I feel like he would have had the role of Macbeth in a movie like this if this was made 2 decades ago and we were in high school having to watch it and stuff. I'm just, not to throw him under the bus, but I feel like that's what we would have got.
No, fuck him. Throw him under the bus, dude. Like, you Google him after the show. You should throw him under the bus.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he was kind of like a lame dude recently. I feel like he kind of comes off as like, I know he was in that God's Not Dead series, and just anyone who's involved with those series, I'm like, ugh. Yeah,
exactly. It's pretty much more of those type of movies. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think like honestly, like this isn't the worst thing you could watch right now. We're definitely going to see this film at the Academy Awards. I think like on a technical level, a lot of the stuff that they did is really awesome. I kind of wish that they took the same care I know it's kind of weird, but like I do like when a movie takes the attention to detail for, you know, filming on a technical level to feel like it's much older, like something like Well, interestingly enough, the film last year, Mank, did the opposite, where they had the sound be super low key and old school, but then they filmed it on a red. So I kind of wish that this film, they shot it all like very technically, but I wish they kind of did the same with the sound, because I love like that Mank sound, like that mono track sound was just so, or maybe it was stereo, it was just so cool. It was like, made the film feel so different, like crunchy and just awesome. So I feel like this film could have benefited from something like that. Obviously, I don't think Apple TV Plus really wants to like show a movie with like shitty sound when they haven't released that many movies yet so far. So,
Right.
You know, maybe that's just me wishing for pipe dreams.
Yeah, but also giving us that feel like it was coming from a stage play that could have benefited in its favor too as well. So I agree with that. But yeah, I mean, there's not really much to comment on this movie. Like the plot, I mean, I think we're all familiar with the tragedy of Macbeth. I knew where it was going to go, and like we all know that it's like a tragedy. It's not going to end happy and everything, but I liked the witch aspect as well too. I don't remember that part for the most part, but I knew that it was just a lot of like greed and just kind of seeing his downfall, and it works very well. It's a good modern take on it, but just not my overall style movie though. But be sure to let us know what you guys thought about it. You can check it out through Amazon, or not Amazon, you can check it out through Apple TV Plus. It's streaming there right now, and also as well as playing as a few theaters. So come back here, let us know what you thought about it.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
Also, if you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, be sure to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can catch all our links down below in the description box. Anyways, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.